Estamos en otra edición de Pensadores Contemporáneos. En esta ocasión nos acompaña el artista visual y coreógrafo Hiroaki Umeda, quien visita nuestro país. Hiroaki, welcome. Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
It's an honor to have you here in Mexico.
Thank you. Thank you.
I would like to start asking you about your beginnings. How would you describe your beginnings, your first approach to dance? What interested you about the movement of the body in the first place?
I started dance actually when I was 20. So actually I was studying photography in the university, but I was not good at photography, and I didn't like so much. So, but I wanted to do some art, doing some arts. So I was looking for different type of the art form. Then I found dance. Then I started with my body. But I think that dance has rich information of the movement. Then I think it's much more suitable for my art than photography. So that's why that was how I started dance. Yeah.
Why was it more suitable for you, dance than photography?
I think that I wanted to express something what I'm feeling with my body or some inside of my body. But photography was quite, for me, I have an impression that doing photography is more like objective. Then, for example, that when I'm taking the photography, I have to be always outside of the situation, so I cannot be inside. So I think that I was feeling that something I have to be something inside. So dance is a kind of expression that you are also in the piece. Yeah.
So at the beginning of your career, what was your relationship with Western modern dance and with Japanese dance tradition? How did you got in touch with this, or how was your relationship with them?
I have to explain a little bit about Japanese history or situation, because I think that after the, but for example, we are Japanese culture was very modernized now. But when I grew up, the culture I have influenced by was more Western culture than Japanese traditional dance. So, for example, I didn't connect so much to the Japanese traditional culture. Actually, I was more connected to the Western culture, like American or European culture. So that, and I didn't know so much about dance. So, So actually, dance I knew at that time was more like hip hop or ballet or this kind of things. So that was my prejudice for not prejudice, the dance I knew at that time. So still now I didn't know so much about Japanese traditional dance. So I was more connected to the European culture, I think.
What will be your main influences from European culture? In dance or in all forms of art?
In general, I was more interested in the Western maybe music more, I think, or more design or these kind of things. So dance, I didn't know. Before starting dance, I hadn't seen the dance so much. So I think that the hip hop culture was, it was big in Japan at that time. So something like that. Yes.
Okay. So also there's a big we know that there's a big approach to technology in your work. But how did that begin? How was your first approach to technology connected with art in the first place?
So I think I would say I am the first generation that having the computer at home. Now you can buy the computer by yourself. And so for me, actually, that using the computer is kind of using the daily tools. You have So the computer wasn't so special. I mean, it's not special things. So everybody has it already. So yeah, actually, it's quite a natural. It's natural. It was a kind of automatic or natural that I started using the computer. So then, for example, making the dance piece, you have a sound, music, and lighting. So, but if you have a computer, you can control all of them. So and yeah, it was interesting. You know, I can compose everything at the same time with the dance. So that was how I started using the computer first. Yeah.
And which were your first experiments in that sense? I mean, what were you looking for when you were working with a computer to control light and everything in the dance space? Was it like what you're doing now, or was it very different?
Oh, I think that it was already something what I am doing now. But of course, beginning the technique was not good. So yeah, but it's the same direction that how I use the computer at the time. But I want to explain two things why I started the computer. Because first, there are the two reasons. That one is very practical, because making a dance piece in Japan, you have to rent a theater by yourself, and you have to hire the people by yourself. So actually, making a dance piece and showing dance piece is quite expensive for a student. So instead of hiring people, I bought a computer, because I don't need to hire the people. So economical reason, it's quite reasonable to have a computer, and then learning by yourself. So that was the first reason. It's not so nice, but it's very practical. And second reason was that I have kind of an already specific image, what kind of sound I want to use, what kind of design, lighting I will use. So instead of asking the people, or instead of asking musician making the music, I wanted to try by myself, because I have a specific image. So if you have a specific image for everything, it's better to start by doing by yourself. So yeah.
Your dance performances use light projections and electronic music in a very particular way. I will say that it appeals mainly to produce sensations in the audience.
Yeah.
And how did you develop this language? I mean, it is a language. I think you have a very particular and personal language to address the audience.
Yeah,
how did you develop that?
How did I develop that? Yes, first, I have to have a specific approach to the dance, for example. Okay, I can explain from the dance. For me, actually, dance is not about dance style. So when I started dance, actually, I went to take many different type of the lessons, like ballet, hip hop, these kind of things. But I was not good, and I didn't like so much taking the lessons. So I stopped very quickly after the first year. So because I couldn't find a dance that I needed for my piece, so I had to develop my dance. Then I was conscious about that. What is dance for me? So for me, actually, dance is a movement. So movement is quite abstract. If you say movement only, it's a very abstract thing. Then it's not about the meaning. It's not about the story. It's not about the shape. It's just movement. So I wanted to develop the techniques and the language only focusing on the movement of the human body. So then I was more interested in abstract material of the everything. So I found that from dance, but I decided having the same approach to the sound and designing the lighting. So not explaining a meaning, but it's about a movement. But movement gives a lot of sensation to the people, to the body. So that was how I found my way of the art. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So you have said before, I read somewhere, that you said you seek to connect people with their internal world, and a world separated from empirical knowledge. So this makes me think of mythical time and space, this other reality, which is not this reality. It's an inner reality that connects us with a place which has no space, no time. It's more in our brains. So how did you? What would you be? I mean, do you think it's connected with mythical inner reality, or is that something that you will share?
Yes, making the art for me is why I'm doing the art is what you can believe it. So this is how I started. It's a motivation doing the art for me. So, for example, you can see now like a lot of things in the computer or internet or a lot of media. But at the same time, you have a kind of reality here. You know, it's kind of physical reality, let's say. And for example, when you see the dance, sometimes you go to the theater, but some people are enjoying the dance in the TV or monitors, on the monitors. But can you say same things or not? You know, this kind of question. And but actually for me, when I grew up in Tokyo, I got a lot of information from the media, like especially the TV. And but is it really true, or is it really what I can believe it? But I cannot say it's not the truth. But so that reality is here, but the reality from the TV, it's the same things for me. But I couldn't digest. It's quite contradict in the body, for example. I'm in myself. So so like for what is art for me is like, so what I can believe is kind of the sensation that you get. So that's the reality what I can believe it. So this is what I want to share with the people. What you are feeling. So it doesn't matter what kind of media you say, what kind of reality you get from here, but the sensation is there. So the sensation is the things that we can communicate with the people. So this is what I'm making, why I'm doing the art. Yeah.
So you think that in order to connect with the audience, you need to work with that inner reality, that it's the only thing that we can be more or less sure that we have.
Yes.
Because we're not sure of anything else.
Yeah. So it's really like that. So but it's also you cannot have any proofs that we can feel the same things. But at least I'm believing that we can share something that we have it in common. So this is what
How would you define the relationship between your artistic projects and the notion of consciousness?
Notion of the consciousness. Can you say more like?
I mean, the feeling of being conscious, of having, and that's what we were talking a little bit about just before. You are conscious of your surroundings. You are conscious of yourself, and this notion of consciousness, which is some neuroscientists say that consciousness is just a trick of your brain to make you feel that there's a continuous space and time in which you are going through, so you can have a sensation of being in a single line of time, but which is not true. It's really a trick of your mind. So that notion, that question about consciousness, how do you relate that to your work?
Okay. First, I want to say about dance, let's say, because it's interesting things, the consciousness, how I use the consciousness for the dance. For example, when I dance, actually, I should have a different type of the consciousness. I don't know if it's right word, the consciousness is the right word or not. But now I'm speaking like this. But when I dance, I have to be very objective to myself. So I have to really watching me like the other. So then when you move something different from your daily life, you should have a different type of the consciousness I think I should have it when I'm dancing. It's very interesting because I found this way of the having a way of this consciousness when I was taking the photography, when I was studying photography, because photography have to be very objective. So I try to have the same kind of consciousness. I don't know if it's true or not, but I have to be very objective to myself, like I'm taking a picture of myself, you know. But yeah, I have to be very like observe everything, including my body. So this is interesting when I'm doing dance. Yeah.
But what kind of consciousness is that you have when you're dancing? You're trying to be more into yourself then, like working with the inner feelings and sensations, or how would you describe it?
It's interesting because actually focusing on inner things, I have to be outside. So always I have this contradiction when I'm dancing, like, you know, focusing myself, then I cannot be myself. So that kind of thing. Yeah.
So the self is always something that you're pursuing, but it's always going away from us. I mean, we can't grasp it, and even though you're looking for it or trying to concentrate on that.
Yeah. So I have to. Something like that.
So scientists say that if we could look at the world with a pair of glasses that will let us see only particles, we couldn't tell the difference between humans, nature, objects. Everything will look the same to us. So everything will be united. What is the relationship between this concept and your dance conception? Because I feel like there's looking at your work, I feel like there's a connection between this conception and the work.
I don't know so much about science. I mean, I'm not a specialist of the science. I like it, but I'm not a specialist. I'm not a researcher. But when I'm making my piece, I always think that, you know, I don't have any border between human body and other things, as maybe some scientists say like that. But also, I always have a thought that we are not really different, you know, me, myself, or, you know, chair, or these kind of things. So, for example, I have an approach in the piece that I don't, you know, human body is not really center in my dance piece. Human body is just object, one of the objects in the piece, because and the sound and the video projection, and they have to be at the same value, or, you know, in the piece. Then, because I have a thought that, you know, this is my belief, but in the world, no one is the center, no one is something, because my human body is always connected to something, and you cannot say really different between that. So I always have this kind of approach. So human is just one of the consequence of some phenomenon, I think. So this is interesting things for me.
And I read also that you think that this causes in us, or produces in us, a sensation of humility. When you are confronted as a human being with this reality in which everything is connected, you tend to think that you're not that much. I mean, as humans, we are not that much. We are just a little part of what's everything. So is that why you say that?
Yeah. Yes. So sorry.
In which way do you represent that in your pieces? That's what I want to know.
So, but as I said, that dance is not really important in the piece, you know, because as I said that my purpose doing the art is giving a sensation. The human body is just tool of the piece, but human body is a kind of interesting object in the piece. But for example, I always say that if robot can dance like me, I wouldn't need to dance, because robot is also can have a move like me, and I don't need to dance. So the most important thing is giving a sensation, but any object can make the art and the space. So but now I'm doing the dance with my body, but if robot can do that, it's replaceable. But so something like that.
Can you tell us a little bit about the pieces that we are about to see here I've already seen parts of that on the internet, adapting for distortion, which is one of the pieces, deals more with optical illusion. Can you tell us more about it?
So I'm going to show the two dance pieces, and one is more dance and lighting. It's quite simple visual performance, and it's I would say it's more like a dance piece. Because I have two type of the pieces, like more visual and more dance. Then one piece is more dance. You can see my body more. But so the piece titled Accumulated Layout is more that one. And but you can see that I control the lighting with a computer, but it's very simple. But I was thinking like choreographing dance and the lighting at the same time. So because in the dance, if you don't have a light, you cannot see the dance. So lighting is a part of the choreography. So this is the piece that I approach in that way. So it's a combining lighting design and then human body as one choreography, something like that. And the second piece that I'm going to show is called Adapting for Distortion. It's I'm using a lot of video projection, and I got idea of this piece from the optical illusion. Yes, then because as I said that lighting affects so much to the dance, then I had a question that always that if how much distort or modify or distort the dance. For example, if I'm standing, but if I'm just still standing, but if the video projection is moving, people might see that I'm moving or something like that. So but I don't move. So but actually, video projection create a movement of the human body or something like that. So I wanted to combining this visual illusion and dance at the same time. So then, yeah, this was how I started, how I make this piece. Yeah.
How is technology changing the way you create dance and the way we perceive ourselves?
I think technology was interesting. That for example, I use a lot of video projection and lighting. First thing that very practical things for the art is like you can, for the dance piece, as I said, that there are so many different media like sound and dance, etc. But if you have a computer, you can organize everything at the same time. Then you can have a kind of overlook the whole piece. This is how I make the dance piece, and this is I think very important for me that composing all the material at the same time. So very efficient and very precise, and this is one thing that's interesting in the computer. And also, for example, when I make a sound and the visual also, you can choose what kind of frequency very specifically. Like so, computer actually can have a possibility to access to use very specific things, like which we couldn't recognize so much before. So which means that the actually computer gives a way to communicate with the people, but very specific way. Like, okay, now I want to put this specific frequency of the sound, then I can choose it. But with a simple instrument, it's not really, maybe not so easy, but the computer have a very specific things that you can communicate. So, and very precise with the time. And for example, visual material, now you can choose like a millisecond, what's happening in the millisecond. So I can communicate with the people like in this specific timing. So then I think that now in the art, so you need, I think now you need a kind of a precision for everything because of the computer. So, and actually people really can feel this precision, you know, even unconsciously, but very, but clearly people feel it. But so, which means that actually the technology and the computer or these kind of things can give very specific things which we really couldn't recognize before, but now, but people can know what is the differences between these details. So I think that technology can give us a very precise way to communicate with the people, but at the same time, people can also recognize, how much you know, you see, the details of the world. So this is interesting things that, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And how is that precision and that millimetric precision in everything when you are creating a work of art contrasting with the body? Because the body has its own precision, which is not millimetrical when you're moving. Or you could say it is. I mean, I'm interested in knowing if you think that there's a contrast and you like to explore that contrast, or you just want to make it as precision, as precise as you can.
I try to be precise with the body, but there are kind of some limit.
Of course.
But actually, that movement can be more precise than I thought. Actually, so. It was interesting because I'm making the sound also, so that I know what is the timing. But sometimes body can react very precisely. But as you said, body is not really a computer. Body is analog, so it's not like not this kind of it's more like a continuously things. But I think that when I do the dance. Of course, I don't follow the same way of the sound or like sound or video, but body has a different type of the approach because the body is a nature for me. So the nature has a different type of the information for the art. So for me, it's interesting to combining, these precise digital things, but at the same time, I wanted to put some nature in the piece. So I think it's a good combination because I'm also not only the dance piece, but now I think that everywhere in the world I see the tendency that architecture, but having the nature, like this kind of combination a lot. And I think that so many Japanese architects is like try to combining nature and building, for example. So I think now having a technology and having computer more and more, but at the same time people are wanting the nature at the same time. So I think now the society need. For me, I'm interested in how we can combining, how harmonize these two things. So I think this is interesting things. I'm doing the dance piece like this. Yeah.
So you are yes, because there's a lot of enemies of technology still.
Yeah.
There's always enemies of technology. I mean, when I was a child, I was the generation of TV.
Yeah.
Color TV, and they thought it was going to make us all stupid, and now they say the same about smartphones and social media and all that. And there's always been the contrary movement that goes with technology and thinks that technology and nature can be meshed up in something that it's, if not more useful for humans, maybe more beautiful. So in that sense, what kind of reality are we thinking of that would be more pleasurable for human beings, as not only in art but in our daily life? Do you think that that's something that it's appealing to you, compelling to you?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, but not bad. But I grew up in Japan, and for us, actually, technology is a friend instead of enemy. So we don't have this kind of concept. We are always. I grew up with a lot of manga, cartoons, and there are so many technology SF manga, anime, and always they describe it how we can be friends. So yeah. Some Western people say that the technology is always enemy, or sometimes the army things. But I think that technology is a part of the human for me. So and also it's not the enemy, but for us it's more friendly. So, but I think that now people may think that technology kills the nature, or people sometimes see that it's so separates things, but I don't think so much. So technology is a way of the human being living in the nature. So I think that for me, it's using a technology is not just killing the nature, but how we can be not utilize, but take the things from the nature, but not killing them, but being efficiency at the same time. So I think the using and I think the technology is just a tool for me, but important thing that how we can use it. So what kind of concept you have using a technology. So for me, the technology is like that. Always how we communicate with nature, with the human nature. So this is interesting things for me.
Well, there's a big current always talking about the next nature of human beings when we will be able to have mechanical parts or in our bodies, integrated in our bodies, mechanical ear, new ads for the brain, nanobots and all that that could enhance our own nature and create a new human nature. In that sense, what would you think it would become of dance, for example, or other arts when we are capable to have that technology?
Yes, yeah. For the dance, huh? But I'm interested in personally, but I don't know if it's good or bad. But personally, as you said, that now I think that we put more technology inside of the body, and I think it will be more like you cannot say this is a human or not. I think there will be a moment that that we put a lot of technology and you cannot say anymore what is a human body or something like that. But I think I'm happy to do that. Actually, I'm not afraid of that because I think already we are surrounded by technology and already we are, we are so different way of life from the 100 years ago already. So this 100 years maybe changed a lot. So now people say that we have so much technology now, but actually we have a car or we have a telephone before already. So our body is already different from past. So now we are adapted, our body is adapted to the society that already having this, so we have a lot of technology already and the body is already adapted. So I just want to say the future that how much we mix the body and how body it will be. And maybe dance will be different because dance is actually very primitive old media of the art because the human body is here like million years ago, but we are using the same body. But with the technology, I think, for example, you can move faster than ever or these kind of things. So, but some people might say that this is not human, but my thought is that maybe we cannot anymore say that we are human being like 100 years ago. So I'm okay doing that way. But the important thing is that I say that what kind of concept or what kind of idea you have it for that. So yeah, I think we cannot avoid having technology. We cannot avoid that kind of development in the society, but we should discuss or we should think always how we use it and how, this is important things,
I heard that there's correct me if I'm wrong, but I heard that there's you're working on a piece that involves a certain robot?
Yes, because I'm collaborating with one of the university in Tokyo. They're having robot courses, robotics.
Robotics.
Yeah, robotics center.
It's a company that specializes in robotics?
The university that.
The university.
Yeah, specialized in robot, and this university making the theater piece also with a robot. And so I'm now doing the collaboration with them. So I don't know how it will be, but as I said that so for example, as you said that I'm not interested in human robot or not like that. But for example, I cannot say, and I think it will be like that. We cannot say anymore, this is human, this is robot. I think we don't have so much differences in the future. So, I mean, I wanted to use a robot in the piece, but as if like, one of the dancer, but doesn't need to be like a human. But as I said, the human and the other things are not really, we cannot say the differences. So I wanted to put a robot like that. So how to take the movement from the robot. And I wanted to find kind of a language, that artistic language, that how we can combining human body and robot, but treating the same things. So this is an interesting thing for me to doing that. Yeah.
For example, we just had that in an experiment like that about applications or programs or software that would create stories, that will tell stories by itself without no one really writing. But we have now these programs that are people experimenting on them that could create whole books of novels and short stories and scripts for movies without human intervention. Just they just feed the application with data that can produce that. I'm guessing for what you just said before that you're not interested in that, or would you be interested in experimenting with that?
I think that the artificial intelligence, also these kind of things are I'm interested in that. And but as I said that my purpose doing the art is giving the sensation. But if AI can do the same things, I'm okay not doing the art anymore. Instead of doing I'm doing that, but artificial intelligence can create the same things. I think I'm happy. I would be happy. So I just want to see how it will be, and this artificial intelligence developed. And but at the same time, I'm also interested in putting artificial intelligence now in the piece, maybe robot, but as a tool. It's not about a goal. So artificial intelligence can create something. But you know that, for example, creating the sound now is sometimes you program by yourself, and you can have a sound which you are not really you didn't expect. So we can make some kind of a programming in the computer, and the computer already created some sound. And then we picked up the sound, and then we compose the music. So it was interesting things, because we can create a sound which we didn't know, we didn't expect, which computer can create. So I think I'm more interested in how we can harmonize this artificial intelligence and choreography language, for example, my case. Not this one, but we can use it. You can take it from the artificial intelligence. We can take the material from them and put it in the piece. So I want to see the balances. Yeah.
So you mean technology more at the service of creating things that are new and that you can incorporate in your work?
I think so.
Not letting all the creative control to the machines.
Yeah.
Because that would be just totally artificial, and then you wouldn't have like a chance to interact with what you're trying to do or trying to say, right?
Yeah, I think that. But now it's we have a lot of discussion about that. But from my choreography side or artistic side, that I think big question was if artificial intelligence has developed so much, and big question is we are needed for that, your individuality is needed or not. So this is a big question. And I have already thought that if there is someone or if there is something can do the same things as me, I don't need to exist and I'm fine. I mean, I don't need to die, but I'm enjoying my life. but I'm not really scared that I'm replaceable with something by technology, you know. But yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit more about the new work you're working on? I mean, what's in the future? What are you working on? What are you interested in specifically at this moment?
Yes, for example, now I'm making a VR piece, VR. Virtual reality.
Oh.
And I'm experimenting some visual image of the virtual reality instead of dance piece. So this is one thing that I'm doing now. And next thing that I want to make them, this is kind of my dream, but I'm trying to do that little by little. How I can choreograph water, for example, water, like nature. So and also the cells, like cells, small cells. Because as I said, that the human body is a nature, so then, which means that we can choreograph the nature as a human body. So, and the 70% of the body is water, so that I think that the water can be choreographed. So, and also the cells, we have a cells, I think, and so I think that the cell can also be choreographed. So yeah, I'm really dreaming that how I can choreograph different natures or natural resources as like a human body. Then I think one of my ambition with my art is get rid of the border of this human or nature, these kind of things. But we can treat everything as the same things, like one nature or something like that. Yeah, this is one of the dreams that I'm doing. Yeah.
Quite interesting. What will be? Can we go a little bit more into detail about virtual reality? What kind of pieces are you thinking of? Would it be a piece in which the person, the audience, the public will be immersed in? Would you be creating a world in which the person will be immersed, or is it something else in which you and the person? How would that be?
What I'm doing now is like a one person having the VR and then see the making immersive circumstances. Yeah. So and then, but it's a nice experience having virtual reality. But I'm not interested in having this kind of scenery or but just abstract lines.
The same, but in virtual, which is, of course, you're not interested in that.
Yeah. Yes, so I'm making the kind of environment which is not really you can see in the daily life. Something very specific. You can only experiment in the VR. So I'm trying to making like a very abstract lines only. Then you put your VR, and I tried last week actually. That it was a very interesting actually. It's a new experience for me. So it's nice.
But it's supposed that the people that will experience this will be dancing to it, or it's just an immersive.
Just immersive things. But as I said, giving some sensation to from this visual image. So this is what I want to do.
And what about water, as you said, or nature? Have you been experiencing with that?
Not specifically, because not easy actually. So, but not easy. But for example, you can see fountain. Yes. So this is one way, but I want more control, like with some electricity or these kind of things, and then or sound. And then you can have a different type of the movement with the water. So yeah, that kind of approach I want to.
Will that involve the human body as well?
I don't think so.
So yeah, I gather from what you're saying just now that you're becoming more and more abstract. You're going into a more abstract direction.
I think
all
so.
the time. So is there a point in which you won't be using your own body or any dancer's body for your creations?
Sorry?
You won't be using the human body at some point. You just be concentrating more on elements that you can control. Is that the tendency? Would you say that's one of the tendencies of your art?
Yeah. I think, as you said, that I'm going to that abstract side of that, water, this kind of thing. So human bodies are just part of that. So sometimes maybe I use, but sometimes not. But it's not the most important things in my art. Yeah, just the point. Yeah.
Some people have told me that they found some resemblances, and that struck me as very strange, but not unthinkable, between your art and Buto, for example. What would you say about that?
I have to say that I didn't learn Buto at all, and then I haven't seen much Buto performances. But some people say that, especially Western people say that sometimes when they saw my show, people asked me that, "Oh, you do the Buto a lot," or this kind of question. But I think that I consciously I didn't think that any connection between me and Buto, but I think now people say that, and sometimes I found that that kind of a connection that I think that Buto have a kind of inner expression, which I think I have also, but maybe different approach. But I think this is kind of I would say Japanese, let's say aesthetic, something like that. So I didn't think about so much, but now I sometimes I can see the kind of similarity. But personally, I don't know so much about Buto.
Would you be interested in experiencing some with that at some point?
No, I'm okay.
You're okay as you are.
Yeah. I'm fine with myself now.
Are there any collaborations with I don't know, media labs or in other parts of the world, not only in Japan, that you're exploring, or just in Japan, or?
No, I'm not doing that, but I'm interested in now more and more science side. Doesn't matter Japan or other countries, but I'm starting like researching and finding the people that scientists who can collaborate with my piece. Yeah, that would be interesting.
In what fields?
Like a nature side, nature, like as I said, how I can choreograph cells, for example. But
so physics, biology.
Yeah, physics is interesting. But also the artificial intelligence. I don't know if this is science or not, but this is also interesting. That kind of thing. Depending on the maybe project, but for example, if I want to choreograph cells, I need a specific researchers. But some I don't know if it's good for the scientists, because maybe I don't know, some people really like cells, and maybe they don't want me to control the cells. But I don't know. But I'm looking for researcher scientist. Yeah.
Can you just elaborate a little bit about your relationship with Mexico? Like, have you been here before?
Yeah.
How was that? How has been your experience before and now? I mean, have you had time to check out something that it's related to your art?
I think that I didn't know Mexico so much before coming here. I have a feeling, very sensitive feeling here, like people and also the environment. It's very sensitive, and people, I feel like people are quite sensitive here. So I feel kind of a connection with Japanese people and here. I didn't feel so much in Europe, depending on the country, but I didn't know so much here. But I had a kind of a prejudice. People here always happy or singing or that kind of just a prejudice. But here, it was interesting that I found here is very sensitive. I feel like a very sensitive people here. So this is, I think, beautiful. One of the beauty that I found here in Mexico, and the food is also great. I think so.
Have you come back to your roots? For example, all these hip-hop roots you had before. Have you experienced with that from this position that you have now? I always think that creators are always like
Going back to
coming back at some point somehow
Yeah,
to
yeah.
what they started with.
Yes. I have to say one thing. Before the photography, I was doing a lot of football. So I was playing football when I was a teenager. But football is one of the interesting system of the movement, which is very interesting. And now, for example, when I'm making the choreography, I sometimes I got the idea from the football because it's a great system of the movement. So you know, yeah, as you said that.
Yes, it's a complex system of movement and also of randomness.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
There's always things, unpredictable things crossing or not, because also this apparent chaos is, you can also predict it well, that's what scientists say at some point. So it's, have you think about working with that in a piece, or have you thought about making a piece related specifically with this randomness of football?
It will. I think it will be, but not in the football way. But it's like, because what is beautiful of the football, as you said, it seems like a randomness, but there is a specific rules. And for example, when I make the photography with other dancers, not myself, there are, for example, if you say 5 dancers on the stage, I'm not interested in having the same shape of the dance movement, but I just wanted to give the system. And they don't need to dance the same way. But like, for example, if you see the natures, there are nothing the same looks, you know, nothing is the same shapes. But you can see that we are human being, but we see we are different. So that is interesting things. And the football can create that kind of system, you know. You have to take the best of the one player, and you have to harmonize everything at the same time. So it's randomly, but they need a very specific system to have randomness. So that is beautiful. So I think this is a interesting point, that how you use a human body and how communicate with other people. So this is interesting things. So football is beautiful for me. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Bueno, pues hemos estado aquí con Hiroaki Umeda, artista visual, compositor, bailarín, coreógrafo japonés, quien nos ha dejado claro que el camino de la tecnología en conjunción con la danza es uno cada vez más íntimo y está cada vez más ligado a una nueva manifestación del arte que tiene que ver con algo más abstracto y quizá más ligado con el futuro, más de lo que creemos a veces. Hiroaki, thank you for being here.
Thank you.
And we hope you come back to Mexico soon.
Thank you, gracias.